Hello everyone, welcome to another War Leader PvMP video. Today I'm going to be talking about raiding, mostly because raiding's really all I've been able to get done other than some small grouping. Soloing just has not been happening very much for me. It's hard to find people out there, so for a while there's going to be a bit of a dearth of soloing videos as I try to figure out why I can't find people anymore. I guess it's just adjusting to a new time zone, and it was a lot easier to find people when you were coming out at 5 AM for soloing fights. Anyway, enough about that. This video comes from several weeks ago, and it's basically a single fight from a single night. This particular night was seen on the last video I did about raiding, and for that particular night I actually had about half an hour of footage. I cut it down to one particular fight that I thought would be best to show some of the things I wanted to demonstrate, and I'm also going to talk about some other stuff that's happened since then during the entire video. And there's a little bonus at the very end that's just going to be on there for funsies. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the whole thing. Alright, so as you can see, starting off, we are in my favorite place on the map. I love this little stand of trees. It's right next to the crossroad. It's easy for the freaks to find you, far enough away from NPCs and res circles that typically the fight's not going to be majorly influenced by them, although there will be some. And not too far from poor tier thrall either.
Everyone push out, we're going to attack them. Now.
Alright, now the Freeps' tactic has been to send a lot of heavies and wardens right into our lines and try to get at us. What we've been doing lately was we've had wargs and reavers chewing up their heavies as they came in, while black arrows were focusing on the hunters, and killing hunters has been working very well for us this night. As you can see, we blew them up very fast. But now we've got a lot more reaver power, so we're actually pushing the entire raid in there, and we're going to let the reavers go nuts while the black arrows also do their thing. Alright, now I'm in commander stance here, and being able to heal in commander stance is an important thing for all war leaders to learn. I'll be perfectly honest. You are not always the target of major focus fire. I tend to be the target of major focus fire just because I'm a little too well known in the Etmors, and that's not because of my YouTube videos. I just am well known in the Etmors. It just is a danger of the job.
We need to take it down right now.
Right, now, notice I used Upsaldor as a reference point, but I did not target him. That's because Upsaldor is one of the main Freep leaders in this particular time of the Etmors. The leaders of Freep raids tend to get a lot of heals focused at them, so I like to stay away from well-known names whenever possible, focus on the lesser guys. They tend not to get noticed as quick, they tend to not be as well geared, they tend to be able to be a lot easier to kill before people notice what's going wrong.
You got the healers standing right next to each other, dropping a fire trap on them.
And if you heard there, Black Arrow is dropping a fire trap right on top of the healers. That is very good use of ground-based AoEs like that. As you can see, we've also managed to do a significant amount of damage to the Freep power pools. That's a combined effort between Banner of Terror, Flies, and the Spiders, and it's very effective. Because the Nerian is trying to take out Skugga. Fortunately, there are other healers who are keeping that particular target alive right now, and Skugga is a warg. But now he switched targets because he wasn't able to get the warg, which means that we did prevent another death. And as you can see, putting down the hunters as effectively as we have been has really enabled us to stay out here and not take too much overwhelming damage. We've lost one Defiler, but other than that, we've been pretty much making kills without taking casualties. We're now managing to drop Lore Masters, which is really important because Lore Masters not only do a lot of AoE damage, but they also contribute a ton to lag problems. And when Lore Masters die, lag tends to clear up. You know, it's a mystery why, but who knows, maybe particle effects have something to do with it. Alright, what's left of the Freep raid is attempting to fall back to Elf Camp. As you can see, because of the position that we were in, where they had chosen to set themselves up in that field a bit closer to Lumber Camp, they have quite a long ways to run to actually get back to Orc Camp. Oh, Elf Camp, rather. Alright, as you can see, Bane of Men has Caviezel on target. He is actually the leader of the Freeps on this particular night. And so while he's an important target to take down, he is taking a whole lot more healing, because no doubt he's probably also on their target assist window. So it's very easy for the healers to find his health bar and get it targeted to take care of him when he starts taking damage.
Go into EC.
Now we're pressing our advantage and going into elf camp. The reason we're doing this is because we've already got the Freeps on the back foot. If they start coming back from the res, they're going to be trickling in much lower numbers. We have a good number of Reavers and Wargs. We should be able to clean up NPCs very fast. And if our Black Arrows get set up properly, they're going to be able to do a ton of damage to the Freeps in here, take them out pretty easily, all things considered. We also have plenty of healing to go around, so I'm really not too worried about managing to stay inside of the camp and keep our numbers up, and the people's health bar is pretty healthy. So you can see some Freeps are already starting to ride back in, and a few rode right back out. We're trying to put down this champion right now, but there is a better target. Rogue Yellow is just over there. That is a hunter. And here come the Freeps. Freeps are coming in actually an organized group, so that's a very big deal for them. We are getting on this Runekeeper who's quite squishy right off the bat. That's going to prevent plenty of healing and damage from going down, and it's going to cause them problems. But as you see, Kaz actually grouped up the people at the res circle and came in all together, which was a very smart move on his part, because it meant that his people all came in together and were able to establish a foothold and start getting focus fire going, rather than trickling in and just becoming more casualties. Banner of Terror is off cooldown and has been redeployed, so we are already 5 minutes into this engagement. Now, we're trying to focus Cav, but this is really not a good move right now. What we need to be doing is taking out a lot of these minstrels that have set up and are healing pretty much uninterrupted. And this is something that I found has become more and more important to the Etmors these days, particularly on Landreval, because a lot of the old guard just aren't playing as much anymore, or have even left the game. And we get a lot more new people. Caviezel is obviously a transfer because he's got the -1, but we have a lot more new healers who, particularly among the minstrels, who like to run in their healing stances, who are actually focused on putting out heals rather than war speech. When you've got a number of minstrels that are actually doing that, once again, just as it's always been in the Etmors, it becomes important to focus the healers first and take them out of the equation before you can actually focus on the hunters or lore masters or anything like that. That was something that I found on a raid about 2 days after this particular one, where we just had no success because we failed to focus the healers properly. And I'll be honest, a combination for the Freeps of having 1 or 2 dedicated Runekeeper healers and 2 to 3 to 4 minstrels that are healing can be quite deadly. As you can see, for good numbers of healing for our group, we have to have I count 5 defilers and 3 war leaders. That's quite a lot of healers just to keep our raid up. Freeps can get away with a few less, particularly if they have captains to pick up some slack.
She's almost dead.
Right, we are taking a number of casualties here. We've already lost 5 people. That makes 6 total for this engagement, and we're going to lose a few more. So very soon here I should be calling for us to retreat and pull out. Now, one other thing that's important to know is that when Freeps are using the tactics of sending a lot of heavies into your lines, sometimes it is good to focus the champions. Yes, it sounds counterintuitive, but many champions tend to overextend. They've gotten very used to having a high amount of survivability, to being able to just get away with a lot of stuff when they're solo and such. When you have a number of Black Arrows in particular, you can put a ton of burst damage down on a champion. They can pop their bubbles, but they typically are too far away from their healers and their own lines to get away from you. And that can be something that's important to just do to get people done for and out of the equation. We've taken, I believe, 3 more casualties since the last count, so we are up to about 8 or 9. We're going to take a couple more here, but I should call the retreat very shortly. Just trying to put down 1 more hunter here. Now, I should have gone for the shout instead of the fracture. We got another kill as well. The Freeps are making good use of the res to come back into this whole fight, but what I'm waiting for is this one last kill on Rivermoth, and then we'll get out.
Alright, go ahead, jump off the wall up here where he is.
Alright, there we go. I called the retreat finally. We took 3 more casualties after started popping reses.
There's a bunch coming into
so
you right now.
the total number of
that's why we're
casualties is about 1 dozen for us. Freeps
Honestly,
took
that
basically
was
their entire
spectacular.
raid got killed plus a few extras, so they're well over 20. So all in all, we came out quite well over out of the entire fight. There went Gunny Sergeant, so that's 1 more for us, so
And we
about
cleaned out
13.
their camp and wiped basically the equivalent of both their raids twice.
Okay, now for the something special. Here I am leading a group of 6, and we are near GB.
This is going to be interesting.
We have come down behind a freak raid of slightly over 1 dozen, and we are attacking them. And notice
I
what they're
think they
doing.
might be running to the steps. Yes, from the 6 of us.
Yes, that's right. 6 of us have made the freaks run to GB.
Okay, start backing off the other way. We don't want them to figure out what's going on.
We got a
Okay, turn around
and the
and
dome's on fire.
run the other way before they come back at us.
Sometimes it's not about getting kills, you win other victories. In that particular case, we won a victory of jumping twice our numbers and causing them to panic and retreat instead of turn around and crush us, which they could have easily done. If they had stayed to fight, it's likely we'd have gotten 1 or 2 kills, but they would have picked up an easy 6, no problems at all. Instead, they failed to react properly, and we got away with something we really shouldn't have, and then we were smart enough to get out of dodge while we still could. Actually, that was a precursor to the night that I mentioned where we had a lot of trouble with the Freak Raid because we failed to focus the healers properly. So as you can see, and from what I've been saying, there's a lot of different approaches that can be taken towards target assisting and all that these days in the Etmors. I thought this particular video had a part that I wanted to show you where I switched off calling targets because the Freeps were focusing through my target for their healing. That is something that you just got to be aware of. If the Freep healers are paying attention, they figure out who the target assistant is, you need to have backups ready to go so that you can have somebody else call the targets. In the fight where that happened, instead of calling the targets anymore, I started calling targets for somebody else where they would pick a target and I'd say go for that one, and then I sat there and healed and didn't actually target anything so that the Freep healers were thrown off, which allowed us to get some kills while they stayed targeting me instead of switching to the people that were being focused because they expected that I would be calling the focus targets, but it's not necessary for me to do that, which is just another advantage of having multiple target assistants. Also, for me, when I do raids, typically I will have 3 target assistants up there. I have a ranged, a melee, and myself, because I'm always finding that targets that are good to go for. And if I try to go without myself on a target assist, I always regret it and I always throw myself up later. The other thing I have done a couple times, which has worked very well, but it requires that you have someone who can actually lead it. If you've got a large number of wargs inside of your raid, if you've got someone who can corral those wargs, who's another warg, giving them a target assist, giving them a mark on their head, making them into a second leader that will take those wargs and use them for coordinated attacks around the backside of the Freeps can be devastatingly magnificent. I've had some success with that recently as well. Unfortunately, I did not record on that particular night. I wish I had, but I didn't get anything of us using that particular tactic. But the options are open. You can do the traditional focus the healers, you can do the traditional, well, the semi-traditional for me, for Rise of Isengard anyway, the focus the hunters. Sometimes you have to work the heavies because that's what they're relying on to disrupt your people, and you just gotta take care of them, get them to back off so that you can actually push forward and start going for the other things. You have to be aware and adapt to what your situation actually is. Anyway, that's all for this time. I hope I've given you some new things to think about and shown you some other ways to potentially go about target assisting and leading your raids and adapting to situations. Good luck and have fun out there. Ugmog is out.